Constitution Article 76 has provided for the office of the Attorney General for India AG, and he is the highest law officer in the country. In addition to the AG, and there are the solicitors and General of India and the additional Solicitor General of India, but only the office of the AG is created by the Constitution. The AG is not a member of the Central Cabinet and is not a full-time counsel for the government. Hence, it does not fall into the category of a government servant, and further, he is not an devoured from a private legal practice. The Constitution does not fix the term of AG and does not contain the procedure and grounds for his removal, and he holds an office and during the pleasures of the president, and conventionally he resigns and when the government of the day resigns or is replaced as he is appointed on its advice. The National Commission for Women was set up as a statutory body in January 1992 under the National Commission for Women Act 1990. Review the constitutional and legal safeguard for women, recommend and remedial and legislative measures, and facilitate and redressals of grievances, and advise the government on all policy matters affecting women. The central government shall constitute and it shall consist of a chairperson committed to the cause of women, and 5 members and from and among person of ability and integrity and standing. A member secretary all are nominated by the central government. And there is no such mandatory provisions, but from the first chairperson Jayanti and Patnaik to the current chairperson Rekha Sharma and CW, and has always been headed by women. And major functions of the NCW includes investigate and examine all matters relating to the safeguard and provided for women and under the Constitution and other law, and present and report to the central government and make recommendations to the central and state government for the effective and implementation of the safeguard. Take up cases of violations of the law and against women to appropriate and authorities, and look India complaints and take suo moto action over the cases of violation, call for special studies and or investigation into specific problem of or situation, and while inquiring into any complaint has all the power of a civil court, and fund and litigations involving issues and affecting a large body of a woman. The term and state has been used in different provisions and concerning fundamental rights, and hence Article 12 and has defined the term for the purpose of a part 3rd. According to it, the state includes the following as government and parliament of India, that is executive and legislative organs of the union, government and legislature of a state, and that is executive and legislature organs of the state government, all local and authorities, that is municipalities and panchayat, district boards and improvement trust, and all other authorities, that is statutory or non-statutory authorities like LIC or NGC cell. And thus state has been defined in a wider sense so as to include all its agency. It is the action of the agency that can be challenged in the court as violating of the fundamental right. The public and sector bank, electricity and board and district planning board and fall under the definition of state and concerning the fundamental right. 55 Kadi. The idea of the Constitutional Assembly of India was first put forward by Manavendra Nath Roy or M.N. Roy in 1934, and in 1935 it became the official demand of INC. It was accepted in August 1940 in the August of however it was constituted under the Cabinet Mission Plan 1946. The historic and objective and resolution was moved by Jawaharlal Nehru on 13 December 1946. It defined the aim of the assembly and enshrined the aspiration and values and behind the constitution and making on the basis of the objective and resolution and India constitutions, and gave instruction expressions to the fundamental commitment to equality, liberty and democracy and sovereignty and cosmopolitan identity. The preamble of the Constitution of the India is derived from an objectives resolution. The 56 guy. Oops, sorry. The term is in news with regard to COVID-19 about a cytokine and a storm. A cytokine and a storm is an oven and production of immune cells and then activating and a compound and cytokines and which in a flu and infection is often associated with a surge of an activated immune and a cell into the lungs. The resulting lungs and inflammation and a flood and build up can lead to a respiratory distress and can be contaminated and by secondary bacterial and pneumonia and often enhancing the mortality in patients. The hyperactive immune reaction occurs in an array of conditions and triggered by infection and a faulty genes or an autoimmune and a disorder in which the body and think it's on and tissues and are evolvers all fall under the umbrella and term and cytokine. The cytokine storm named and because and a substance and called and a cytokine and a rampage through the bloodstreams. And Article 13 declares and that all laws and that are inconsistent with or in an derogation of any of the fundamental rights shall be abided. In other words, it expressively and provide for the doctrine of judicial review. This power has been confirmed on the Supreme Court Article 32 and the High Court Article 226 and that can declare a law unconstitutional and invalid on the ground of a contravention of any of the fundamental rights. The term law in Article 13 has been given a wide connotation so as to include the following permanent laws enacted by the parliament or the state legislation and temporary laws like ordinance issues issued by the president or the state governor and statutory instruments in the nature of delegated legislation, executive legislation like order by all, law, rule and regulation or notification, non and legislative source of a law, and that the custom or an usage and having the force of law, and further an Article 13 declares that a constitutional amendment is not a law and hence cannot be challenged. However, the Supreme Court held in the case on Bharati case 1973 that a constitutional amendment can be challenged on the ground that it violated a fundamental right and that form and part of the basic structure of the constitution and hence can be declared as void. And 58 she and political scientists and have classified governments into a unitary and federal on the basis of the nature of the relations between the national government and the national governments. By definition, a unitary and a government is one in which all the power are vested in the national government and the regional and government, if at all, and exists and derive and their authority from the national government. Or federal government, on the other hand, is one in which power are divided in between the national government and the regional government by the constitution and itself, and both operate in their respective jurisdictions independently. The Constitution of India originally provided for a two-tier system for a government, the Indian Union government and the state government. Later, a third and a tier of federalism was added in a form of a panchayat and municipal, and this further strengthened the spirit of federalism in India. As in any federations, and these and different tiers and enjoy a separate and jurisdiction. The Constitution clearly provided a threefold distribution of legislative power between the union government and the state government. Thus, it contains a three-list union list, a state list, concurrent list, while the union government has exclusive jurisdictions over union list, and a union and state can legislative over and concurrent list, and a union can also legislative on state subject under different conditions like emergency. The fundamental right are enshrined in a part third of the Constitution, Article 12 to 35. Part third of the Constitution is rightly and described as the Magna Carta of India, the fundamental or a meant of for the promoting the ideal of political democracy. Features of a fundamental right. They are not absolute but qualified, and the state can impose unreasonable restrictions on them, and they are not sacrosanct or permanent. The parliament can curtail or repeal them, but only by a constitutional amendment act and not by an ordinary act, and they are jurisdictions allowing and persons to move the court for and their enforcement if and when they are violated, and they are defended and guaranteed by the Supreme Court. Hence, an aggrieved and persons can directly go to the Supreme Court, and most of them are available against an arbitrary access of the state, and with a few exceptions like those against the states and action against the action of a private individual. For example, Article 17, 23 and 24 provides a protection against actions of a private individual, and most of them are directly enforceable, self and executory, and while a few of them can be enforced on the basis of a law and made for giving an effect to them, and Constitution under Article 32 and 226 empowers the Supreme Court and High Court to issue an writs and for the enforcement of fundamental rights, and when the fundamental rights of citizens are violated, the aggrieved and party and has the no options of moving and either the High Court or the Supreme Court, and directly and further the Parliament under an Article 32 can empower any other court to issue these generates, and since no such provisions has been made, and so far only the Supreme Court and the High Court can issue another writs and not any other court. State Bank of India has enlisted and green bonds worth dollar hundreds million on India in INX and global security market platform GSM. India INX India International Exchange Limited India INX is India's first international exchange and located at the Gujarat International Finance Tech and City and a gift city, and operating on an advanced technology platform. Eurex T7 exchange is the fastest in the world with a turnaround time of 4 microseconds. Launched in 2017, it is a subsidiary of PSC Limited and Section 18 and Section 55 of India Special Economic Zone Act 2005 provides a central government for the establishment of an international financial service and a center in India and within an SEZ in India, and enable the central government to regulate IFSC and activity in a gift, and SEZ Limited has been notified by Ministry of Commerce and Industries and Government of India of 18 August 2011 for setting up a sector and SEZ for multi-service of Gandhinagar, Gujarat.